you very much, and it's a real honor to be here. And this is a place that warms my heart. We did very well in this state, as you know, 3 times actually, and it's been a tremendous experience. I went to school here, I went to college here, and got to know it very well. And the people are the greatest people on earth, so it's a real honor to be here. And I have to say about David and Dina, they had the toughest race there was. I said, this is going to be a tough one. And every campaign stop that I made, we had lots of people, tens of thousands would be a small crowd. And I'd invite David, and he'd get up and do a fantastic job. And it all worked out, but he won a race that was really not doable. I think his opponent was here for a long time, and his father was there for about 50 years at least total. And those people aren't easy to beat, but you beat them. So I just want to congratulate you. That's amazing. And he wouldn't have done it without Dina, that I can tell you. We know Dina. Anybody that knows Dina knows exactly what I'm saying. And, you know, he mentioned Butler, but what nobody really talks too much about because they didn't see the order, but I actually looked down to the right before that thing happened, and I said, oh, there's David McCormick. He's running for the Senate. David, come on up. And there were so many people, there was a little problem he had coming up because I said, look, just do it later. And then about a minute later, so, you know, if you would have come up, I don't know what the hell would have happened, right? It worked out better this way, right?
Exactly.
I don't know if he would have been around, but other than that, I want to take full credit for that. I said, no, don't bother, we'll do it later. So if I didn't say that, who knows? But really great job. Exactly 1 year ago this week, David was at that rally in Pennsylvania. And 12 months later, look at what we have. We have a president. We have really, I mean, if you think about it, we had a country, and I just left the NATO leaders. I left the Middle East, the King of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, as you know, Mir, so great, and UAE. These are 3 great leaders. And then we just made a deal with NATO where they pay for everything, and we give them the ammunition and the missiles, and we give them whatever they want. We got to get that war stopped. It's so bad. But every leader said, no matter where, they all said the same thing to me. Some of them separately, but it's the same words, just about. He said, it's amazing. 1 year ago, you had a dead country. We were dead. We didn't think you could ever come back. And now, today, you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's true. It's true. So, we're back in Pittsburgh to announce the largest package of investments in the history of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and it's not even close. I don't imagine it's too close. I don't think second is too close. That's a big statement. This afternoon, 20 leading technology and energy companies are announcing more than $92 billion of investments in Pennsylvania. And if you want, we could probably get them up. Let's talk to them right now. But this is a really triumphant day for the people of the Commonwealth and for the United States of America. We're doing things that nobody ever thought possible. As of about a month and a half ago, when we came back from the Middle East, we came back with $5.1 trillion of investments from the 3 countries that I mentioned, and they're great people, great leaders of those countries. But we came back with many, many planes that they are going to build through Boeing. They came back with a package of goods that were, you know, nobody's seen. I don't think anybody's seen. $5.1 trillion. And we are now at about think of this, $16 trillion. And we're at a little bit less than 6 months, but really we're probably at 3 months because it took me a little time to get started, right? So in 3.5, 4 months, let's say, we have about $16 trillion. There's never been anything like that in history. You can go for years and they didn't have numbers like that. And if you look at the last administration, you had negative numbers. You didn't have positive numbers. You're going in the wrong direction. But we have the hottest country, and we're going to keep it that way. Today's commitments are ensuring that the future is going to be designed, built, and made right here in Pennsylvania and right here in Pittsburgh, and I have to say right here in the United States of America. I want to thank, we have some great talent in the administration. I want to thank and say hello to a few people that are with us. Secretaries Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, Doug Burgum, Chris Wright. You know, Chris Wright's very friendly with the people up here. Doug, I wanted Doug for energy. I didn't know about Chris. And Doug said, no, I have somebody that's much better than me, right? And Doug never said that in his life. You have to know. I said, this guy must be very good, but what a team they are. You know, we have one controls the land and one controls the energy, but it was sort of intertwined. So we put them together, right? We never even discussed who's supposed to be the leader of the pack, but boy, you are, it was one instruction, drill, baby, drill, right? And they are drilling. They are drilling. We have the EPA administrator, probably, I must say this, Doug, I hate to say it, Chris and Doug and all of you guys, the most important man on the dais today is Lee Zeldin. It's called environmental protection because he's going to be the one that gets you a permit. He's going to get you a permit for the largest electric producing plant in the world in about a week, would you say? Now, if you go nuclear, I promised him I'd give him 2 weeks. Okay, nuclear will give him a little more time. But you know, the biggest problem we've had is it takes years and years to get permits, and he really is. He's a phenomenal guy, and you know, his history. He's a great lawyer, great congressman, in a race that was, according to most, unwinnable. Almost won for governor, just missed it by a few points, and he's really fantastic. But he's essentially the Environmental Protection Agency, the top man, and he's got things rocking, and already they're building plants and they have their permits. These are permits that would have taken you literally 10 years to get, or I would really say 10 years before they voted against you, because that's really what was happening, and it's crazy all over the country. But we're freeing it up, and he really is going to be able to produce. And I'm looking at the numbers of China, where they're producing a lot of electric. Well, they only have one man they have to worry about, our friend, right? President Xi. He can do that by himself. I don't know if I can. Do I have the right to overrule you? Maybe. I don't know. Probably I do, but I won't have to. But so he has one man, and we have one man. The one man is sitting right there. We appreciate you doing an amazing job. They're building plants already, and they're building plants, and they have already their permits. And I have to I have to brag just for a second, because when I first heard about AI, you know, it's not my thing. Although my uncle was at MIT, one of the great professors, 51 years, whatever. He was the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, 3 degrees in nuclear, chemical, and math. That's a smart man. Kaczynski was one of his students. Do you know who Kaczynski was? There's very little difference between a madman and a genius. But Kaczynski, I said, what kind of a student was he, Uncle John, Dr. John Trump? He said, what kind of a student? And he said, seriously good. He said he'd go around correcting everybody, but it didn't work out too well for him. Didn't work out too well, but it's interesting in life. But I will say this, that we have the greatest brains, we have the greatest power, and we are going to have more electric. I said to some of the guys coming in, they wanted to hook up to the grid. I spoke to Mark and Jeff and a lot of people. And they said, well, we want to know about the electric, because I was told we'll need from David. The first one, you're the first one that told me. That's why I hired him, because I said he told me something I didn't know. He said, you need double the electric of what we have right now, and maybe even more than that. Remember that? And I said, what, are you kidding? And that's double the electric that we have. Take everything we have and double it. And actually, the number, that was even low. You need more than that. And to do that, you'd have to hook up to an old grid, in many cases broken, and certainly very much open to destruction from bombs and planes and from, frankly, storms. You see what happened, that horrible situation in Texas. And you'd be subject to that. And it's fragile, but it is old, and it can't have the capacity unless you totally rebuild it. That would take decades. And I said, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we, when you build your plant, wherever you may build it, you build your own electric plant? And nobody took it seriously. They sort of looked like, I can't really take that seriously, because they didn't believe it was happening. So the smartest people, some of them on stage right now, were saying, huh. And then they'd say, well, how do we hook up to the grid? We want to hook up to... They didn't believe what I was saying. And I said, no, I'm really serious. I'm going to let you build, right, Lee? I'm going to let you build with your plant. You're going to build, we'll make you like a public utility. You're going to build your own Con Edison in New York. You're going to build your own electric factory, and you're going to make your own electricity. So this way you can have a great plant. And what you'll do is if you have excess, you can sell it back into the grid. You'll even make money from the electric business, because these guys do know how to make money. They'll end up doing things that will be shocking. And you're going to make your own plant. So when I looked at the numbers before, I saw a board outside, and it showed how much electricity China's making. Well, we just started. But we're going to actually end up doing more than them, and it's going to be done privately, and you're going to own your own electric plants. And they'll be powered by maybe nuclear, maybe gas, maybe coal. You know, we brought coal back in. They won't be powered by wind because it doesn't work. I hate to say it just doesn't work. It's rather intermittent. You don't want it. It causes a lot of problems. But we have every form of fuel that you want to use for your plant. And you'll build a plant, you'll build your electric, and this way you have no excuses, because I didn't want to be the one that said, listen, we're trying to build that grid in 10 years from now, and you wouldn't be able to open. You're going to build it with your own plants. And so people heard that. They couldn't believe it, and finally now they believe it, because we have a couple that are already started, and they're building their electric plants along with their separate plant. And in fact, some of them are building the electric plant inside of their main building. So it's really exciting to see. But I was very proud of that, actually. White House AI czar David Sachs. David, thank you very much. Great job. David interviewed me on his podcast about, what's that now, 2 years ago or something, in San Francisco, and I said, this guy's very smart. If I pull this sucker off, I'm going to probably hire him in some form. I got to get him in. But you've been doing great. Thank you, David, very much. Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy, Michael Kratsios. Michael, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Good job. They tell me you're doing great. Thank you very much. As well as State Senate President Pro Tem Kim Ward. Kim, thank you. Kim, good job. Kim's very happy right now. State Senate Majority Leader Joe Pittman. Joe, thank you. And State Senator Greg Rothman. Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you. I also want to recognize your great congressmen. These are friends. These are warriors. They just passed the great, big, beautiful. See, I add the word great. I like to say, because there really was really supposed to be great, big, beautiful. They call it the big, beautiful. But I had great. They took the word great out. I was on a show called Deface the Nation or something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, Deface the Nation. And I said, I want a great, big, beautiful bill. And they named it that. And it really is. It was supposed to be 7 bills. Could have been 2 or 3, but it was supposed to be originally 7. I said, let's put them all together. And if you put them all together, there's going to be something for everybody. And that's what happened. And we got it passed. And Republicans did it. We didn't get one Democrat vote. Think of it. The biggest tax cut in history, and we didn't get a Democrat vote. And so many other things. No tax on tips. No tax on Social Security. No tax on overtime. But the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, you got that. Also, the biggest deduction, you know, you have a 10-year period. Last time we had a 1-year period. Now you have a 10-year period. And that's what made the first one. We had the most successful economy in the history of our country during my first term. And we passed a bill, but that bill, honestly, as good as it was nothing compared to this one. And the biggest thing and the biggest reason for the success was the deduction. And you're allowed to do it. And this time we're including structure, so you're able to deduct those big structures that you're building. So nobody thought that was even possible. But I want to introduce the people that did it. Dan Muser is here. Where's Dan? Dan, you?
In Washington.
Oh, they're in Washington working on our next bill. Good. They shouldn't be here. Now I don't have to mention their names, you know. Although they're watching on television, I guarantee. Oh, that's right. they're working on our next one, which is coming for a vote, I think, on Friday. Wow, I'm impressed. But JT, GT Thompson, Lloyd Schmucker, John Joyce, Mike Kelly, Scott Perry, Rob Bresnahan, all terrific people, and Guy Reschenthaler. These are great people. They're warriors. They fought with us. They voted with us. We only had 2 negative votes. I didn't invite those 2 guys to anything. We had a guy named Rand Paul Jr. He's known as Rand Paul Jr. in the House. He always votes no. And we had somebody else. I did him a big favor, and I said, well, he's not going to, sir, I don't think so-and-so is going to vote. I won't mention his name. And I said, no, he's going to vote because I did him a very big favor, very personal favor, as big as you can get, having to do with death and life. But having to do, no, he's going to vote. Don't worry about it. Okay, sir, if you tell me, but I don't think we're going to get his vote. Don't worry about it, I said. I know what I'm talking about. Don't worry about it. And sure as hell, he voted against us. And I said another one down, another great move by Trump. Anyway, so much for favors. You know, it's welcome to the world of politics, right? Right, David? We know about that. But we're here today because we believe that America's destiny is to dominate every industry and be the first in every technology. And that includes being the world's #1 superpower in artificial intelligence. And we are way ahead of China, I have to say. We're way ahead of China, and the plants are starting up, the construction's starting up. And did you notice that 2 days ago they just announced that they had a budget surplus of $25 billion in this country? Right, Howard? They never saw anything like that. Everyone would say, where did that? That's been like decades, $25 billion, and that's peanuts compared to what it's. And it's good business practices. The tariffs are coming in by the hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're really at the infant stage right now. It's only on cars and steel, mostly. And the rest is starting to kick in. We just made a deal today, a big one with Indonesia, a great deal. And they've opened up Indonesia fully. You know, Indonesia really has great copper, very powerful copper, but they have a lot of things. And we have full access to Indonesia. We'll soon be announcing probably, if we do, we do. If we don't, that's okay too. I don't mind, because I'm very happy with the letters that we send out that you'll be paying X%. I almost like it better if you want to know the truth. But Scott and Howard, you know, they like to go the old-fashioned way. Let's work hard to make a deal. I don't know. There's something about pay us 35% of everything and we're very happy. But I think India is going to open up, and a lot of countries are going to open up. And some that don't, they'll just be paying a very substantial tariff, but peanuts compared to what they should be paying. So we have some amazing things. China and other countries are racing to catch up to America, having to do with AI, and we're not going to let them do it. We have the great chips, we have the great everything, and we're going to be fighting them in a very friendly fashion. I have a great relationship with President Xi, and we smile at the back and forth, but we are leading. I heard somebody say before that we're going to try and catch China. We're not catching them, we're leading. And one of the advantages they have is they show the electric that they have it. They're opening up coal-fired plants all over the place, and we're entitled and allowed now to do that too. We took coal, it was taken out of the chain, and coal is actually a very powerful. I say you're not allowed to call it coal. You have to call it clean, beautiful coal. You're not allowed, John, to call it just coal, because people don't understand. We call it clean, beautiful coal. But China is, I think they're going to be very far behind. Mark my words, I think they're going to be very far, because we have a lot of places going up right now, and they're all going to be great. And they actually feed off each other. But remaining the world's leader in AI will require an enormous increase in the energy production, and that's taking place, and you're doing it yourself, and a massive build out of physical infrastructure and the tremendous technology skill that Pennsylvania has. I mean, you have tremendous skill in this state. Today, the Commonwealth is reclaiming its industrial heritage and taking its place at the forefront of the AI technological revolution. And as I said before, it's an expression I used all during the campaign and screamed it out, we'll drill, baby, drill. And people went crazy. We had big crowds, as you probably heard, biggest ever, biggest in history. The investments being announced this afternoon include more than $56 billion in new energy infrastructure and more than $36 billion in new data center projects. and a lot more than that are going to be announced in the coming weeks, not even months. I think we could say weeks, right, Howard? In the campaign, I promised that I would save the Homer City power plant 50 miles east of here that Joe Biden's Green New Scam forced to shut down. It's a Green New Scam, greatest scam in history, the greatest in history. Well, the auto pen, I think, is a bigger scam, if you want to know the truth. Actually, I do believe that. Today, we're pleased to report that a $15 billion investment from Knighthead Capital Management. Who's here from Knighthead? Well, I'm very impressed with that. $15 billion. That's pretty good. It's a great location, too. Wow. That's very impressive. Thank you very much. That's a big number, huh? It's a big number, and yet it's peanuts relative to what it would get. That's a good job. But the Homer City site is being resurrected as the largest natural gas-fired power plant ever to be built in North America. Is that right, huh? That's fantastic. As another example, Google will be investing billions and billions of dollars to revitalize two major hydropower facilities in Pennsylvania. Congratulations. Say hello to Sergey and Sundar. They've done a pretty good job at Google, I'll tell you. And they have their star right here, so congratulations. That's really fantastic. And under the last year of Biden, China added 11 times as much power generation capacity as did the United States. That's under Biden. That's not under Trump. That's under Sleepy Joe. Under the Trump administration, America's getting back in the game, and we're going to actually be doing more than they do, as I said. And on day one, I ended the Green New Scam. I also ended Joe Biden's war on clean, beautiful Pennsylvania coal. Totally ended. Coal has equal, if not greater, status. It's a very powerful. It's a very powerful thing, coal. China, it's sort of interesting. China makes windmills, but how many wind farms do you see in China? I haven't seen any lately. It's sort of crazy. They build the windmills, sell them into our country, sell them all over the world, and they ruin their fields and ruin their valleys. And then you look at China. Where's your wind farm? Well, we have one. We're thinking about one. No, it's the whole thing is crazy. But they use coal, and they're building right now about 52 power plants, all of coal. I signed historic executive orders to expedite construction of brand new nuclear power plants, which is very hot. We've issued an order, as you probably know, 1 month ago, making it very easy and very safe to build nuclear power. And Westinghouse, I know, is represented here, and they're become a whole brand new Westinghouse. Congratulations. It's a great thing you're doing. They were hurt by some very incompetent people. I watched what was going on there, and in the form of regulators, they were really doing a number. Our regulators are the opposite. We'll be very safe, but we're fast and safe, and you're going to get a whole different group of people. But it's announcing plans to build 10 state-of-the-art nuclear reactors in the United States. That's great. Congratulations to Westinghouse. And to further accelerate investment in the industries of tomorrow, 2 weeks ago, we enacted the largest tax cuts in American history. When I signed that one big, beautiful bill into law, we're adding to it a little bit, and we're refining it a little bit, all to the positive. And that's why the congressmen, I'll pretend I'm really angry at them, but I would actually be angry at them if they showed up, Lee, right? I'd be much more, if they're here, I would not be happy. The bill allows 100% expensing on all new equipment, something that's never happened before. Factories, research, and as I said before, even structure. To further protect Pennsylvania industry, 2 months ago, I came here to announce my approval of a historic investment deal with Nippon Steel of Japan, to keep U.S. steel right here in Pittsburgh. And we have a great woman here, Selena Zito. She's the writer. She writes on the Rust Belt and the Midwest, really, but the Rust Belt, anything having to do with rust and belt. Where is Selena? Is she around there someplace? Because I'm doing an interview with her in a little while. And I said, do me a favor, let me do the interview after this. This way we can be right on time. Where is Selena?
There she is up there.
Oh, she's great. You can't be angry at me now, Selena, because I'll be with you. I said, Selena, can we make it after? Otherwise, we're going to keep a lot of money waiting. These people have big money. When I saw the people here, I said, Selena, I'm sorry. I have to delay this. And also, Miss McAdams. Where is Miss McAdams? We're going to do one with her, too, and she's great, with Fox. And she's been fantastic. Stand up, stand up. Young and smart and vibrant. She's been you've done a great job. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes. All right. That's great. We can't keep this kind of money waiting. These are truly the biggest investors in the world, including my friend John on my left. But these are the biggest investors in the world. I'm sorry, McAdams, and I'm sorry, Selena. That's the way it works. It's very impressive. But Nippon Steel, and we got it, and we have all sorts of protections because of the fact that U.S. Steel was, you people, years ago, 80 years ago, was the biggest company in the world, most powerful company in the world, and we were very strong. And Nippon's coming in. They're going to be investing $17 billion. They're going to build new plants all over the country using U.S. Steel, and we have the absolute control because we don't want to lose control of that one name. That one name is very important for to the history of this country, and I think Nippon's going to do a fantastic job. And, you know, in some cases, they could take it back to their country. I said to people, because a lot of people said, well, what do you think? Japanese companies coming in. I said, well, you know, when they spend $1 billion in a steel plant, they're not going to put it on a boat and take it away. It's going to be right here with us, no matter what. But they are going to do a fantastic job, and they look forward to it, and they're so excited about it. They actually fought very, very hard to get that deal. And I think when you look at the countless jobs at the Mon Valley Works in western Pennsylvania, we have something that's going to be really incredible. And we did keep a golden share. You know who has the golden share? I do. I have the golden. Does everybody know what a golden share? A lot of these people from the Middle East, they don't have to worry about golden shares. But we have a golden share, but Nippon's going to do a fantastic job. With that historic announcement and the new commitments being made today, we're building a future where American workers will forge the steel, produce the energy, build the factories, and really run a country like, I believe, like this country has never been run before. I think we have a true golden age for America. We've been showing it, and it truly is the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I'm honored to be in Pennsylvania, and I'm honored to be in Pittsburgh, and you're going to see some real action here, so get ready. Lots of jobs, lots of success. Really a beautiful thing is, it's going to be beautiful to behold. So enjoy yourselves, and I look forward to hearing some of your geniuses speak. If that's okay, I'll stay around, all right?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you so much. Again, thank you for being here. And you coming has allowed us to have this incredible summit. It won't surprise you, this summit was Dina's idea. But what it's allowed us to do is catalyze the investment. It's allowed us to get a lot of attention on Pennsylvania's story, and it's allowed us to deliver on the promises you and I talked about, which is jobs for working families, really create opportunity here in Pennsylvania. So it's the manifestation of your agenda. And we're going to talk today about those $90 billion of investment. You'll hear from Blackstone and QTS, CoreWeave, and others. They pledged $36 billion to build data centers. You also hear from companies that invested tens of billions in generating the power needed to run those data centers. We have great investments in natural gas production and pipelines, but also in nuclear. Brookfield's repowering of 2 hydro facilities with Google that you mentioned. The great Pittsburgh company Westinghouse will tell you how they're going to deliver on your call to strengthen America's nuclear power industrial base by placing 10 reactors under construction by 2030. And Constellation, which is here, Joe Dominguez, is upgrading Limerick Clean Energy Center to bring an additional 340 megawatts online. First Energy and Pennsylvania's PPL have collectively pledged $20 billion to build and operate the grid infrastructure required to support a data center renaissance right here in Pennsylvania, and to ensure that ratepayers don't foot the bill. And finally, you got technology companies like Google. They're investing in bringing the benefits of AI to Main Street, and their AI Works for Pennsylvania initiative, which will offer AI training for 1 million small businesses. The great thing about today is these are not empty promises. These are tangible, real commitments, and they're only the beginning. The distinguished leaders you have around the table here, from Larry Fink to Darren Woods, from Toby Rice to Bruce Flatt, to great global investors like my good friends Chow Kit from Singapore, Haldun Al-Mubarak from the United Arab Emirates. They've traveled long distances to witness firsthand this historic moment and to see firsthand what's happening in Pennsylvania. And these investments are a testament to Pennsylvania's unique resources. Unbelievable natural gas reserves, abundant fresh water, a massive installed base of nuclear power, incredible tech universities like CMU, our host today. Thank you, Farnham. Amazing skilled trade engineers represented by Pennsylvania's own Rob Baer and Brandon Bishop here of the National Building Trades. But none of this would have happened. None of this would have happened without your unwavering commitment to unleashing American energy dominance and standing up for workers in Pennsylvania and across the nation. They're going to see those workers' tangible job opportunities here today. These projects will create tens of thousands of construction jobs and thousands of well-paying direct and indirect jobs supporting these projects, supporting these industries. It's going to make a big difference in Pennsylvania communities. So, Mr. President, this is the beginning of an economic renaissance for Pennsylvania and a huge step forward. And I want to thank you for making it possible.